Good morning, Digital Monkey School students. Today, let's learn how to create a simple mushroom with Blender's grease pencil. Let's set our workspace. Go to background preferences, change our background to gray. Let's go ahead and make our grease pencil brush settings. Strength 1, turn off pen pressure, pen sensitivity. I'm using Wacom tablet. Radius, let's make it 35. Let's turn off pencil sensitivity for that as well. Let's go to overlays, turn on Z-axis so we can see where our screen is divided in the middle. In object data properties, for our grease pencil object, we have layers. Let's rename those. Let's call this one cap. Let's call this one stem. Select cap, and let's go to modifier properties and add a mirror modifier. And since we're going to be working on cap first, let's go to influence, and then for layer, choose cap. So that way, this is the only layer which will be affected by a mirror modifier. That's the brush. So here it is. You can see that it's symmetrical. Command Z to turn it off. I will be drawing the cap by holding Shift, which will stabilize the stroke, making it a little bit more smooth as I go. Switch modes. Let's go to sculpt mode. F to make brush bigger. Enter to validate. I am in push brush, which allows me to change the shape of my mushroom. Maybe something like this. Let's go to an object mode and apply a mirror modifier. Now let's go to edit mode. I'll need to select both splines with A, press Command J, and that joins strokes. You see right here, now they're connected, but they're still open at the top, so I'm going to press F, and that will fill it. Alright, and that's our cap. So we're going to now repeat the steps for the stem. Select the stem layer. We're going to give it a mirror modifier. We're going to choose under influences layer stem to affect the stem only. Go to draw mode, hold shift. Let's go ahead and draw the stem of the mushroom. Cool. Now I will go to sculpt mode and adjust this a little bit. I do not want my cap to be adjusted, because right now if I try to adjust it, it will adjust both of them. Instead, I'm going to lock the cap layer, and now I can adjust this a little bit. Again, F, and then enter to control the size of the brush. Okay, that looks pretty good. Go to object mode, make sure our stroke object selected, and we're going to apply mirror mode modifier. And now we're going to return to edit mode, select those two curves. This time I'm going to go to stroke, join, and then join, and I'm going to press F to fill. So we have now two outline objects, one for the stem and one for the cap. We will need to have an extra object for cap outline, so I will make a new layer. I'm going to call this new layer cap line. Currently it's empty, so what I need to do, I need to copy the cap to that layer. Select that layer, copy, and now I'm going to go to this layer, and then I'm going to paste it. Alright, I'm going to test it, turn this off. Alright, now I have an outline on top. The next step, let's go ahead and create new materials for our stem and for our cap. Go to material properties and create a new material slab by pressing plus, new. We're going to turn off stroke, turn on fill, and then we're going to change this from solid to gradient. Now we will have to adjust our gradient a little bit, but first let's go ahead and apply this material to our mushroom cap. For that, I'm going to select the mushroom cap curve and press assign. We have a gradient. Now there is a problem with that gradient, and that is it's going in the wrong direction. Let's change first of all the way it blends, 1 to 0. We can move where the blend is by location. We can also rotate it. Let's do 90. Now we need to look for the blend. Here it is, and it's a little bit crooked, so let's see if we can fix it by rotating. We can also use scale and use that to make sure that we have black on top and then white at the bottom. So now we can change its color, and we're also going to flip the colors. Let's change this black to dark red, and let's change this white to bright red. You can play with scale. That's looking great. Let's now do the same thing for the stem. We're going to create another slot. Let's call this a cap. Let's make another material slot, and then here we can choose cap, but currently those two materials are linked, so we're going to break the link by pressing on this little fake user button, and then we're going to call this a stem. We can immediately apply this material to our stem by selecting the curve and assigning, and maybe hide the cap and play with the gradient a little bit. Perfect. We also could give our stem material an outline. Let's go and give it a stroke, and that's looking really good. Now in a second you will understand why we're not doing the same thing for a cap material and why we're keeping this as a separate outline. So we're going to now create dots. Let's make a new layer, and then let's call this layer dots. I'm going to introduce a very important concept here for the layers, and that is clipping masks. You'll find yourself using those clipping masks quite a lot. Now let's turn on mask, click on this caret and expand it, and now we're going to choose clipping mask layer, which needs to be, in this case, a cap. We will also need to create a new material for our dots. Let's go ahead and make a new material slot, press new, turn on stroke, and turn on fill, and in this case it's just going to be an off-white color. To draw the dots, we're going to return to draw mode, choose a circle brush or circle tool, and if I hold shift, it will make a perfect circle. You can see that my clipping mask is working. I can change the location of the circle by pressing G and then moving it where I want and clicking. I can play with those points to adjust it, and now let's go ahead and make a bunch of more dots. Perfect. That's why we needed to have this outline on a separate layer to go over the layer with the clipping mask, which had the dots on it. Lastly, to make this mushroom a little bit more fun, let's give it a face. We're going to make another layer. Let's go to face. Let's start by creating a symmetrical element. Let's give it a mirror modifier, and let's change the influence to a face layer. Let's create a couple of new materials. Let's create just a solid block material. This material is going to be eyes. Let's go ahead and make the eyes using circular tool, pressing down shift, something like that. That's looking good. A new material, turn on fill, change color to maybe something like this. And this time I'm not going to hold shift because I want the cheeks to be oval, something like that. Alright, that's looking good. So maybe adjusting this material, making it a little bit lighter so we can see it a little better. Lastly, we need to create a mouse, but let's apply the mirror modifier. Let's return to object mode, go to modifier properties, and apply a mirror modifier. Let's go to draw mode, and there is a tool called arc, and if I hold shift, it makes an arc, just like that, but I need to use a different material, so I'm just going to use a stroke and make a mouse and press enter. I will adjust the position and the size of this mouse in the edit mode. Let me just make sure that I'm on the right layer. Yep, I am. Let me turn on the lock for other layers so I don't accidentally adjust them. I am going to return to edit mode, select the mouse, press G, place it where I want it, maybe right here. I can scale it, maybe something like that. I also, since I scaled it, probably need to increase the thickness. I can do this by going to grease pencil, normalize thickness, and now here I can just increase it to whatever I think looks good. And I think that looks pretty awesome. Press enter. That's how you make a mushroom in grease pencil. We went over some important concepts. I taught you how to create a gradient. I also taught you how to create a clipping plane. And I also taught you a whole bunch of other things. I hope this tutorial was interesting. We're Digital Monkey School. Please like us and subscribe. And I will talk to you in my next tutorial.